Hello, beautiful people. Last time we left off, I told you I was starting my own war company on Pangea, and that I did with a little help from some really good friends. The Dairy Cooperative is up and running, and we're still looking for members. If you're up for an adventure, check the video description for more information. Now, I know how I feel about factions, and I still bleed purple, but for this experiment to have even a slight chance of success, we decided that we had to give in to the dark side and go green. Recently, I've seen a lot of new players asking if the faction you choose matters, so while I have factions on my mind, I thought I would go ahead and talk about it. You know how it goes. Just sit back, relax, maybe grab yourself a snack, and let's get into it. As I'm sure you're well aware of, there are 3 factions in New World. Or 4, if you count the people who prefer to follow Switzerland's example and remain neutral. You know the type, people walking around Everfall or Brimstone encumbered with the only play solo title. Now, before we get into whether or not the faction you choose actually matters, let's talk about the factions themselves because they all have their very own unique identity. Yes, the Syndicate, my one and only true faction love. The official vibe of the Syndicate is secretive scholars hell-bent on discovering ancient knowledge to bring about a new age of enlightenment and look hot while doing it, if I do say so myself. The unofficial vibe is that one guy in your company who knows everything about the game and most likely hasn't seen the sun since launch day. The Syndicate believes that Aeternum is full of secrets, magical, mystical, and very likely to explode. The Syndicate sees knowledge as ultimate power. They're the ones reading scrolls while everyone else is out stabbing things. They're basically if Hogwarts was a fight club, and yes, their robes come in epic purple only. While the Syndicate would try to devise an elaborate way to get around it or over it, the Marauders are the kind of people who see a mountain and say, cool, I'm gonna punch it. Their official vibe is a brutal military force dedicated to strength, honor, and conquering the weak. Their unofficial vibe is basically gym bros who think stabbing, shooting, and looting solves most of their problems, and to be fair, in New World, it kinda does. The Marauders believe that Aeternum should be ruled by the strong, not weaklings, not scholars, or tree huggers. The founders were basically the fantasy version of angry Vikings with protein addictions. They value freedom, power, and gains, in that order. And if you're not lifting, fighting, or dying gloriously on a battlefield, what are you even doing, bro? They don't skip leg day, or war, ever. How do I feel about them personally? Well, I've always called them greenie weenies. I think that sums it up. The Syndicate wants to learn, the Marauders want to fight, and the Covenant, oh boy, they are here to cleanse the corruption. And by cleanse, they mean violently smite you in the name of the spark. Their official vibe is religious warriors on a sacred crusade to bring order to Aeternum. Their unofficial vibe is your aggressively spiritual aunt who judges you for playing video games, but also has Farmville on her phone. Born from a belief that Aeternum is divinely gifted, the Covenant is all about bringing justice and light to the land, usually through a flaming sword and several aggressive sermons. They believe the island is being tainted by corruption, and that they're the ones chosen to purge it, whether you like it or not. They're here to save your soul or bash your skull in trying. With love, of course. So yeah, that's the general gist of the factions. The nerds, the meatheads, and the cultists. Also, we like to refer to them by colors, so purple, green, and yellow. It's like Gatorade flavors. If you use the real names of the drink, you're probably a cop. I want the light blue Gatorade and the purple faction, please. So the question is, which faction should you join? Well, that depends on a few things. When we were deciding which faction to start a war company in, we first had to look at the map and see which factions own the most territories. And if when you open your map you don't see the colors, you can change that in the filter settings. All the way at the bottom you'll see faction influence, just check the box and watch the pretty colors appear. If a faction dominates a server, people won't be able to switch to that faction from another one. That means potentially less people can join your company if they want to. And on Pangea, purple and yellow were the dominant factions, so we decided to go green. But of course, things change up all the time on many servers, so the dominant faction today could definitely be different tomorrow. If you don't care about war and influence, then none of that is going to matter anyways. You might care about the lore then. Lore-wise, the Syndicate is totally my vibe. I wanted to be purple for the war company, but it just wasn't meant to be. But I have owned a big Syndicate company before on another server, RIP Lilith, so it's okay. I love the spooky librarian vibe, it's kinda cute. So yeah, now for the first time ever, and I've played since launch, I'm green. Gangrene, if you will. I guess it's time to start acting like one, screaming, blaming healers when I'm the one face tanking mechanics, and bench pressing some corrupted creatures. From the start, my goal on Pangea has always been to have new experiences in a game that I've been playing for years. I started warring for the first time, I joined the Covenant for the first time, and now I've joined the Marauders for the first time. It's been an adventure, and running a war company is my next big Pangea journey. So Warren, influence, and lore. Just liking what the faction stands for. If you believe in igniting the spark and cleansing the world, go on with your bad self and join Yellow. If you want to punch walls and eat raw eggs for breakfast, by all means, go green. And if you want to bask in the glory of knowledge, which they say is power, then go purple. But those aren't the only reasons to join a faction. If you've got friends playing with you, then honestly I'd just join whatever faction your friends are in. So that way you are able to enjoy all of the content in the game with your friends. And I feel like I just said the word friends an unnecessary amount of times in that sentence. Beyond the color-coded fashion statements and loud war cries, your faction actually does affect some gameplay experience in New World, but overall, unless you're planning to get into influence races or war, it's not going to have too much of an effect on you. So you can honestly just pick your favorite color if you want to. How do the factions affect gameplay exactly? Well, what a great question. In each territory, there is a fort that once captured will provide bonuses to players in the faction that controls the fort. For example, Keep Cutlass Keys will provide 20% influence and 5% experience boost in Cutlass Keys, as well as a 1% global gathering luck boost. A popular fort to capture is the one in Morningdale that provides a +5 global crafting bonus. So in that way, it has a tiny impact on gameplay, but it's not significant. And people go around capturing forts all the time. It's on a timer, and then when the timer runs out, you can go capture it. So if your faction doesn't currently control the fort, I'm sure they will later. If your company controls an entire territory, then you also will get some discounts when purchasing things, but it's also not anything crazy. And just like the forts, territory control typically changes often or not at all. It's kind of one way or the other, but no matter which way it works in your server, the majority of people aren't going to be getting those discounts. Your faction does determine your PvP experience on your server. You might find that you're riding around with your green, purple, yellow brethren, or sisterin, kicking butt and taking names. Or you might end up being a walking loot pinata for a Zerg of sweaty level 65s with too much time and too little mercy. What I mean by that is that if you join a faction that is really low in numbers compared to the other ones, you might not have very much fun in open world PvP. And influence race where there's a 200 person purple Zerg, 30 yellows and 20 greens it's just not fun. Your faction will affect where you fight, who you fight, and how some people perceive you as a person. Okay, that's a joke, but also kind of true. Anyways, they matter, but they also don't matter at the same time. No one faction is necessarily better than the others. So if you're serious about it, do some research on your server before you choose. And if you don't really care that much, follow your friends or pick your favorite color. You'll still have fun playing New World no matter what. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, drop your favorite faction in the comments. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe, but most importantly, be kind to one another. Also, if you want somewhere to hang out during the weekdays, I do stream on Twitch a few times a week. And again, we are still looking for people to join our war company on Pangea. Links for everything are in the video description. See you next time, friends!